Chapter 61-67. At this time, Peter saw that the rules had been explained to everyone. So he stepped forward to open the store door and invited everyone to come to the store. Although the treasure shop's single-floor area is not large. Because the store is empty, it looks very empty. 20 or 30 people came in, so it was not very crowded. Peter locked the door from the inside and then said to everyone, "Everyone is an old collector at first glance. And the rules when looking at things must be very clear. Please don't take photos or videos during the whole process, thank you. The collectors are very particular about it. Respecting the personal wishes and privacy of the treasure lord is very important." When everyone heard this, they knew that he had produced this thing and did not want the outside world to know too much of his personal information. So they all nodded and held their mobile phones. Then they all put their mobile phones in their pockets. Later, Peter took out the bronze Buddha. As soon as the bronze Buddha was taken out, the vendors who were watching the excitement were a little surprised. They have never seen the real body of this bronze Buddha, but have seen the surveillance video. They probably know that this is an artificially aged bronze Buddha. But now the bronze Buddha in Peter's hands has been cleaned and made brand new. All traces of old age have disappeared without a trace. What they didn't know was that Peter had already processed this bronze Buddha, carefully removing the traces of forgery made by Master Cheng and others, leaving it in the state it was in when it was first made in the Northern Song dynasty and had not yet been gilded. Peter held the bronze Buddha in his palm and said to everyone, "In my humble opinion, this bronze Buddha is the gilded Buddha Supintuo from the Taizong period of the Northern Song dynasty. It is a pity that the gilt bronze Buddha no longer exists. Otherwise it would never be the same. It can't be the price I posted." Everyone nodded, but the vendor was confused and thought to himself, "What is this? Isn't it an imitation of the Ming dynasty bronze Buddha? Or is he, a big profiteer, planning to package this thing into a scam from the Northern Song dynasty?" Just when he was confused, Peter had already handed the bronze Buddha to the first collector in East Cliff, smiling and said, "My friend, since you are number one, you will get to see it first. I have a small request here. While everyone is getting it one by one, please don't discuss your own conclusions directly. Don't directly say whether you want or don't want it. Let's do it without saying anything. And then express the wishes one by one after everyone has seen it." The East Cliff collector nodded lightly. This is a rule that all high-end bureaus understand. During the transaction, don't talk or make an offer, so as not to spoil the nature of others. After all, those who come to collect this bronze Buddha are all powerful players who love collecting. In addition to collecting things, they also want to test their own eyesight. If you are the first one to get started, tell all the key points directly. And then immediately ask for it, then the people behind you will really have wasted their trip. Not saying anything about it, at least it allows everyone to appraise it without any distractions. And also take the opportunity to test their own level. After the East Cliff collector got the bronze Buddha, he looked at it very carefully. The experts he invited also came forward and carefully investigated bit by bit. Later, the collector in East Cliff handed the bronze Buddha to the expert. After the expert looked at it carefully, he handed it back to him. Then the two exchanged glances and gave the bronze Buddha to number 2. At this time, the treasure shop was packed with 20 or 30 people. But it was extremely quiet inside. No one spoke, only the sound of everyone's breathing and the sound of clothes rubbing together as they passed things around could be heard easily. And just as these people were taking turns to pass the bronze Buddha, Jacob and Elaine had already started to board the plane. Since they were traveling in first class, they boarded the plane directly ahead of most passengers at the first-class gate. This Boeing 777 passenger aircraft has a large passenger capacity. A double corridor bridge dedicated to wide-body aircraft is used on the ground to connect the aircraft. First class, business class passengers, and economic class passengers use different boarding channels. And the boarding of the two classes is the passage leads directly to the front of the aircraft. The economy class boarding passage leads to the connection between the two cabins and the economy class. Therefore, when the two people board the plane through the VIP passage, the economy class passengers are already in front of the boarding gate. There was a long queue of more than 200 people. As Elaine walked, she looked back and sighed to Jacob. It's great to have money. In the past, we had to be like them when we went out. No matter how many people there were, we had to wait in a long queue. When there were many people, we had to queue for half an hour. At that time we couldn't even get on the plane, but now we have money to fly first class. Although we are still sitting on the same plane as them, we have no contact with them at all. We boarded the plane earlier than them and got off the plane earlier than them. Even they queued up to pick up their luggage, and our luggage comes out earlier than them. Looking back at the time we lived at the old house, it was nothing like a living, like a shabby settlement. Jacob said with a smile, it's not like we have never been on a business class trip before. Have you forgotten that when we traveled to Liangjiu a few years ago, didn't we fly in business class?